Right. All right. Good morning, everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers, and this is the monthly eCom planning session. So, my passion is helping people on their e-commerce journey, helping them to get organized, get focused, get consistent in their business. And if that's you, you'll be given the chance to schedule a free 20-minute coaching session. But first, I want to go over we are live on Clubhouse inside of the eCom Sellers House, and we're live in the e-commerce planning Facebook group. So you can join us there. In the e-commerce planning Facebook group, if you go over there, you can download the daily, the weekly, and the monthly planning checklist by going directly to the files section. And then once you click on the files, you will, and it's in the menu navigation, you'll be able to download the monthly ecom planning session so you can follow us along today. So I hope that you'll share this out with a friend, let somebody else know about the daily, the weekly, and the monthly ecom planning session. If you're following us on YouTube, definitely subscribe to our channel. And again, join our Facebook group, join our eCom Sellers Club or house. I keep forgetting that Clubhouse is converted to houses instead of clubs. But in any case, let's get started. After we kind of go through the monthly planning checklist, if you want to continue the conversation, you can join us on Clubhouse in the eCom Sellers House. So you can join us there on Clubhouse in the eCom Sellers House. So with that, during the monthly ecom planning session, we're going to do two things. One, we're going to put together a game plan, talk about what's happening in our business for the month and the month that's coming up. And we're going to talk about it from a quarterly standpoint, because I believe that your daily activities that you engage in contribute to your weekly success, and your weekly activities you engage in contribute to your monthly success. The monthly activities you can engage in contribute to your quarterly success, and your quarterly activities contribute to your year-round success. So if you've got some annual goals, you want to establish your quarterly goals and hit those targets or work on those targets, and establish monthly goals each month that, of course, impact those quarterly goals, and establish weekly goals that impact your monthly goals, and then establish daily goals that impact your weekly goals. I mean, all of that, they're tied together. So with the monthly planning session, even though it does say monthly planning, we're going to talk about it from a monthly standpoint and also from a quarter. We are in the end of second quarter. It's June the 1st. And so this is the last month in this quarter. And what we do now really, 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 really matters. And so our goal is to give it everything we got and to hopefully make the biggest impact in our business based on the activities we engage in. So this monthly planning session is going to be broken down into 3 phases. The first one is the month-end analysis and review, things that you're going to be doing to kind of close out the month. So we're going to look to close out the month of May. The next part of this is going to be the planning for the new month. Again, that's all of the preliminary. These are things we need to consider. These are things we need to think about. These are things that we need to look into further. And then the last part of this is actually creating your new monthly plan. So with that, let's get into it. I don't know what is going on with my phone, but just a second. Me and technology, we are like having all kinds of problems today. Okay. All right. So if you'll grab a notebook and pen, I think that will help you a lot. If you haven't downloaded the monthly planning session, you can definitely go download the monthly planning notes over in the e-commerce planning Facebook group. And we're going to step through this together. So in your notebook, we're going to talk about what your month-end activities are, and then we will move into the other section. So you're going to need at least 3 pages if you have a notebook. If you're using like a spreadsheet, Google Sheets is one of my favorites. And so you can create 3 sheets inside of Google Sheets. If you don't know how to get to Google Sheets, you can, if you have a Gmail account, you can log into your Gmail account, click on the 9 dots in the upper right-hand corner. Once you click on the 9 dots, you'll be able to see the option for Drive. It's normally a triangle, multicolored, red, blue, green, and yellow triangle. You click on Drive. Once you click on Drive, it's going to open up Google Drive. And then you'll go over to the left-hand side and you'll see a multicolored plus. You click on that multicolored plus. It's normally red, yellow, blue, green, and you'll click on sheets. Sheets are typically a green color. That's their normal color. And so sheets are just like using Excel. If you've ever used an Excel spreadsheet, it's very similar in the features and the functionality. So I like Google because all of their tools are free. If you have a Gmail account, it makes running your business a whole lot easier. So I like free stuff. And you can get a lot of stuff done with using free tools. So with that, let's talk about this month end. Let's get some of this month end stuff done. So the first part of the month end is that we're going to review and audit all of the stuff that we did or didn't do in the month of May. So did you complete or did you not complete all of your goals, like tasks? What did you have established for the month of June? You want to make sure, not May, sorry. You want to make sure that you go through and analyze whatever your May goals were. What did you accomplish? What did you learn? Did you meet or reach any of your goals? And what needs to be added to next month, which is June today? So each month, I encourage you to establish your top goals for the month. And since we talk about this from a quarterly standpoint, I also encourage you to establish your top goals for the quarter. The next is your income producing goals. What are your income producing goals for the month of May? And what are your income producing goals for the quarter? And where do you stand for that? So an example of an income producing goal, or maybe a top goal, is maybe your objective is to create a certain number of listings this month. Maybe you're a reseller, or maybe you're a drop shipper or doing wholesale or whatever. So you want to make sure that you create a certain number of listings. Well, maybe your goal was for the quarter, I need to create 300 listings. So 300 listings, 3 months in a quarter, that means at least 100 listings a month. With 100 listings a month, what does that break down to a week? And that's roughly about 25 listings a week. And then with 25 listings a week, that will equal your 100 a month. And then for the quarter, that would be 300. So where do you stand? Have you hit your 300? Are you close to hitting your 300? Or are you nowhere near it for the quarter? And did you hit your goals for the month of May? Did you hit your 100? Are you at 75 and you were short 25? So those are things that you want to definitely take a look at when it comes to, your goals and objectives for the month and also for the quarter. Same thing with your income producing goals and targets. So how much were you targeting to make, or what were you hoping to get in sales? Maybe you established some goals about what you wanted in sales, and where do you stand on that? Okay. Then we want to go and look at what our admin or VA or administrative goals were. So maybe one of your administrative goals was to, maybe it was to create standard operating procedures for your VAs, if you have a VA, or maybe it was to create standard operating procedures so you can hire a VA, because second quarter is a great time to implement new features, new functionality, new rules, new processes in your business. Because e-commerce sort of has, I won't say it slows down drastically, but again, that's the perfect quarter, because anything that you put into place in second quarter, you can perfect it in third quarter so that you have it 100% in place for fourth quarter. So second quarter is a great window to implement new things, new functionality, new whatever. Okay. So with that, again, what were your goals for the month of May? Maybe you established a goal that you wanted to create 2 new standard operating procedures. And maybe your goal for the month was that you're going to have 6 new operating procedures in place or documented thoroughly so that you can hand those 6 activities over to a VA. Because again, 2 per month, if we do the simple math, 2 per month, 2 in April, 2 in May, 2 in June, and that would give you 6 for the quarter. Maybe you had something like that, or maybe 1 per week. And if you were doing 1 per week, that would be 12 new standard operating procedures for the quarter. That would mean that in the month of May, you needed to have completed 4 new standard operating procedure documents. So did you meet those goals or not? Again, I don't know what your monthly goals and objectives were. You should have some defined. So as I'm talking through this, if this is something that you don't have defined, you don't have in place, This is your window and opportunity to actually begin the process of putting some of this stuff in place as we plan for June. Okay. So if you're going, hey, that's a good idea, write it down in your notebook. This is something that you can do for June. Then we have reviewing our marketing or ads goals. Maybe you had some marketing or ads goals, or maybe you didn't have any at all. And if you didn't have any, okay. But if you did, what were they? What are they? And did you reach them? Maybe you are cash short, and so you didn't run ads. But one of the things you wanted to do was drive more traffic to your listings. So maybe you wanted to make sure that you at least shared using like Pingler or Ping Farm or any type of pinging tools. Maybe you wanted to cross list or cross share, either one of those two, at least 100 listings a week or 100 listings a month over, through a backlink building tool. And so, how did you do? Did you track that to make sure that you hit that target? And if you did, hopefully, we're going to see an impact in your sales, or we're going to see an impact in your traffic to your listing. But did you reach that goal, that simple task of cross sharing? And this is probably one of those things you could hand over to a VA as well, remember. So, what were your targets? Did you meet that? Or cross listing. If you're using a cross listing tool like Vendu or List Perfectly, and you had a goal of at least cross listing 100 listings every single month onto other platforms, how did you do? And did you get that done? And again, hopefully that's going to impact your bottom line, because anything that's going to help you get more exposure to your listing is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Your weekly priorities for the month of May, did you complete all of those? So when you establish your monthly goals, typically you assign weekly priorities and things that you wanted to get done. This doesn't necessarily just mean from a business standpoint. This could be personal stuff. So maybe for the month of May, you knew in the first week of May, you needed to order inventory for back to school. And the second week in May, you needed to order inventory for, I don't know, the 4th of July or maybe Halloween. And for the third week, like maybe you had some business goals. And then maybe you also had some other goals, like you knew you were going to go on vacation the first month in June or first week in June. So if that's the case, maybe one of the things that you had on week 4 of May was to get an oil change and get new tires. Again, that is a priority because you knew you were going to be traveling. Or maybe it was to create extra listings because you knew you were going to be traveling in the month of the first week in June. So how did you do on your weekly priorities that you established for May? And how did you do in tracking the habits that you were working to build? Habits like create 5 listings a day, if that was one of your habits that you were tracking. Source, 2 new product or create 2 new product ideas a month or a week. Going through and looking what you documented for the month of May. Again, if any of this sounds like something you feel like you should have been doing this whole time, you want to write it down so you can put it in place for the month of June, because then it'll just all come back to you. And it'll help you to prepare for third quarter, which starts July 1st and which is right around the corner. Okay. So if we're in June 1st, everything from this point forward just sort of rolls downhill. It feels like it picks up momentum. It feels like tomorrow is going to be Christmas before you know it. Trust me. Summer will go by in a blink, and then you'll be like, it's Christmas. How did we get here so fast? So yeah, let's work on some activities that we can do every single day that's going to help us to be successful. Then the next thing we're going to do as far as our monthly analysis is concerned, or month-end analysis, is to actually go through and look at your daily goals that you established for the month of May, the daily stats, tracking your numbers. So knowing how you're doing, that's how you come up with your stats on a daily basis. Then you compile and summarize those for the month. And then you'll know, or for the week, sorry, and then you'll know what you're doing for the month, because you can look at each weekend stats to see what's happening in your business. Are you meeting your targets or not? Basic activities, like I mentioned before, like creating backlinks for your listings, sharing them through Pingler or Ping Farm, or cross-listing on other platforms. That should affect your bottom line. So you should be able to look at your daily stats, summarize that in your weekly stats, and actually see a gradual progression as you execute those things, and a gradual improvement in what's happening in your business. And again, some of that's going to be based off of what you sell. Like if you're selling Christmas stuff, you're probably not going to see an improvement right now in the month of May or the month of June. But again, if you're selling something that sells year round, you should see some gradual improvement in your listings and your performance. Okay. So it really does depend on what you sell. And then everything that you kind of compiled in this month end analysis and also your quarter end analysis, we want to document that. If you have the eCom planner, you're going to put that in the lessons learned section. Putting it in the lessons learned section is going to help you to be able to come back and make some better decisions either for the month of June or prepare yourself for things that you want to do differently for the month of July or third quarter. In addition to that, we always want to celebrate and acknowledge our wins and our accomplishments. So if you hit any targets or goals that you established, you want to document that in your wins and analysis section of the eCom planner. And if there's anything important that we're going to move into the next month, we're going to carry over or want to continue or maintain, then we want to document that in the looking forward so that that's going to help us to be able to build our plans, our goals, and our objectives for the month of June or to finish Q2 strong. Okay. So that's the first part. The next part is, again, continuing down the month end analysis, is we're going to review what notes, ideas, thoughts. Maybe we had some product ideas. Maybe we were at the grocery store and we saw this product idea, this product, and you're like, oh my God, I need to go do some research on that. Or maybe you were at Sam's Club, you're like, oh, they got these out. I need to go do some research on that. But in the eCom planner, we give you a journaling section where you can write down brainstorming ideas, sourcing ideas, personal notes, things that you wrote in your calendar so that, again, you don't forget these things. Maybe you had a great product idea that you want to make sure that you're selling in the month of July. So you wrote it in your May notes so that in June you can go order it and create the listings for it so you can sell it in the month of July. Again, it's always doing it in advance. You're always doing stuff in advance. When it comes to Mother's Day, you don't think about Mother's Day on Mother's Day unless you're going into the store to buy the clearance and you're preparing, you're planning for next year's success or Christmas ideas. But you don't think about it on the day of. It's always the work that you do in advance, anywhere from a month to 6 months in advance. This is the work you do in advance in order for you to reap the rewards as you get closer and closer to whatever the big day is. So what's in your notes? What did you write down for sourcing ideas and sourcing products? And what is it that you need to focus on in the month of June based on your notes? So you're going to document that in your eCom planner. You're going to put it in the looking forward section of your eCom planner so you can keep that stuff documented and make sure it's readily available for you to be able to pull out and use at a moment's notice. All right. The next is putting together, going through and look at your month-end task. So there's a bunch of month-end related tasks that you have to do that are administrative. And those administrative tasks include running your month-end reports, doing your tax filing, maybe doing an audit of your inventory, checking for your expiration dates, reconciling your account, reconciling your bank, your bank statements and your bank account or your selling account, and also reconciling your expenses. What did you spend? What were your expenses? All of those things are things that you should be doing in your business. So these are month-end activities that are administrative that you need to make sure that you have on your plate somewhere. And creating or completing the budget, reconciling that budget to see, did you meet those targets, which you established? And you're going to use any information that you discovered that you find helpful and you're looking forward. You're going to document that in the looking forward section. So we're documenting that so that way, if there is an adjustment we need to make to the budget because maybe inflation went up or maybe shipping costs went up or maybe the fees for the platform that we sell on went up, and we want to make a note of that so that we can adjust our budget for the month of June. It's also going to help us to potentially create our budget for the next quarter that's going to be coming up, which is July. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to review our previous year's stats. We're going to look at our previous year's stats to help us with some potential projections for the next month that's coming up, which is June. So how did we do June of 2022? What did we get in sales? What was our data? What was our hottest selling product? What was all of these things are things that we're looking at so that we can compare how. So first we're going to look at May because we've already gone through May. So we can look at the data for the month of May to see how we did, and comparing last May to this May. What were our sales? What were the things that went well, comparing like, oh, okay, our sales are up 2%, or our sales are up 15%, or our sales are down 9%, and looking at what really happened there. Is it that we ordered inventory too late? Did we put up the listings too late? Did the price of the item go up and so our profit margins went down? Like, what was the impact? What really affected our business when it came to May? And then we're also going to look at stats and data for the month of June so that we can use that information to build a June plan. So we want to know what we did last year. We want to know what our stats were around sales and profit margins. We want to know what our hottest selling products were, or what were the things that we wanted to make sure that we didn't forget this year. So last year, maybe we only ordered 500 of a specific product, and you made a note that, oh, no. This year we need to at least order 1,000 because we ran out, or we need to order 1,500 because we ran out. So that would probably be one of those things that you would go have that conversation with your supplier to say, you know what, last year I bought 500 from you, but is it going to be possible for you to get 1,500? And I would say that would be the type of conversation you would have way in advance versus the month of. But again, this is all about planning. It's about making intentional decisions and taking intentional action steps so that you can be successful, so you can see the growth that you're working to achieve. The other thing is, looking at just the month of June, we want to also go and look at our stats for July of 2022 and potentially August of 2022. So we can begin forecasting and putting together some projections and or planning for our success in third quarter. So we need to know what we did in order for us to impact those numbers so we can have better numbers in 2023. So while you're at it, go ahead and look at the statistical data that you have available to you for how you did in July, how you did in August, and you might as well go ahead and do September so you can get the entire quarter in advance. Since we're at the end of quarter two, might as well get the entire quarter three in advance. So go look at that data for 2022 so that you can use that to help you make better decisions for 2023. All right, so now that we've kind of gone back and looked at some of our historical or where we stand right now we're going to be thinking about compiling our list of things that we want to think about for the month of June, and a little bit of projecting of things we need to be thinking about for the month of July, August, and September. Because again, we have this quarterly perspective that's always out there, lingering, things that we need to consider. So the first thing is we're going to go, if you have the eCom planner, you can go and look into the daily holidays, the monthly holidays, and the international holidays section. And we're going to go and make a note. If you're an eCom seller, we're going to go make a note of things that, I don't know what just happened with my phone. I don't know if it closed or not. I can never tell what this thing is doing. It just does its own thing sometimes. All right. I think I'm live still in Clubhouse. It may have closed. Let me just see. Okay. I think we're still live. Let me unmute. All right. We're still live. I don't know what's happening. So I'm going to keep going. The month of June, we're going to go look at the daily holidays, monthly holidays, international holidays, because if you're an eCom seller, even if you're doing a private label product or if you are doing a white label product, you can glean some ideas from the monthly, daily, and international holidays. You can take your current product that you're selling. Maybe you're selling candles. And so maybe there are certain scents that you want to make sure that you have available for the holidays or major events that are coming up in the future. A perfect example of that is as you get closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas, like you might be selling some cinnamon spice, apple spice, peppermint type scented candles because of the fact that, those are things that are going to be hot. So your number of sales for peppermint candles or peppermint scented or cinnamon spice or things like that, not going to probably be as high in the month of April or May or June, but you know that those sales for that particular scent is going to go up as you get closer to October, November, December, because that's when that scent is popular. So looking at your holidays, regardless of the fact that you maybe have a private label product, can help you trigger in your mind, like, these are things that I need to remember to consider. I need to start ordering more of this type of wax, especially if you're doing handmade or if you're ordering from a supplier. You need to start putting some things on your list. So look at the daily, monthly, and international holidays. If you are doing reselling, you're going out and doing arbitrage, or you're doing thrifting. Again, it reminds you, oh, while I'm at the thrift store or while I'm doing my retail arbitrage, these types of things are popular. So in the summertime, because kids are out of school, snacks are a huge deal. They offer so many different varieties of snacks, and they have the bigger sizes. And also kids that are going off to college, like parents will send that whole snack box to the college dorm or things like that. So there's a spike in those types of products that are sold during that window. Again, keeping that kind of stuff in mind. And maybe there's a specific holiday, like we know the 4th of July. There's going to be a lot of buying of different types of spices to marinate in different marinades and different sauces, because people will be barbecuing, or they'll be buying, specific, if they're not vegetarian, buying a lot of meats. So there's going to be some cooking. That also means that there's going to be a lot of people buying paper plates and things like that. So when you go through the daily holidays, the monthly holidays, and international holidays, not just the major ones, but some of the smaller ones will maybe trigger a product idea for you. It may trigger a thought around a new concept for an existing product, or a way that you can tailor your existing product to kind of coincide or connect to that holiday that's coming up or event that's coming up. So go and look at those lists. They're in the back of the eCom planner, and you can scan through those. And you also want to consider any major events that are happening locally or that are happening, nationwide, statewide, or worldwide. Something that maybe is a major thing that's happening worldwide. And you want to document those things in the looking forward, because we're going to use that looking forward section to help us build our June plan and prepare for third quarter. And then, since we're already looking at the holidays, we're going to also look at the holidays section for the next 20 weeks, next 4 to 20 weeks. So that means we're going to do like some 3, 4, 5 months worth of consideration here, because of the fact that it's not just about right now. This is great for those people that are doing print on demand, because then from a planning standpoint, you can start creating print on demand designs that are going to sell as you get closer to specific holidays. So for those people that are doing print on demand, like you've already got your 4th of July designs probably already created, the listings are there, you're optimizing them, whatever, they're already ready to go. And then the next major red, white, and blue holiday is Labor Day. And so again, you would be creating or figuring out how to transform your red, white, and blue 4th of July stuff to Labor Day, because again, it's also red, white, and blue. And you would also be thinking about Halloween, and you would be considering, what are the print on demand designs that I need to start thinking about, or back to school ideas. There's a bunch of print on demand that gets sold for back to school, and taking out what you sold last year and the designs that you sold last year and products that you listed last year, and maybe putting a new spin on it for this year, things like that. So we're going to do some advanced planning for the next 20 weeks. We're just going to make some notes about things that we need to consider when it comes to our sourcing, when it comes to our product research, when it comes to things that we should consider selling, when it comes to things that we need to create if we're doing print on demand, or things that we need to source if we're doing like drop shipping or whatever. And we're going to document all of that in the looking forward section. Okay. And that's looking forward in your eCom planner in the journaling section. The next thing that we are going to be doing is we're going to go in and we're going to look at our stats. What are the stats goals that we feel like we need to establish for the month of June? When I'm talking about stats goals, we're talking about the number of sales that we really want to try and shoot for the month of June. We also want to look at where we are for the quarter. So our quarterly numbers, which would be April, May, and June, what was our overall quarterly goal? If our quarterly goal, and I go back to the example of creating 300 listings a quarter, that would mean I had to do 100 in April, 100 in May, and 100 in June. Then we know that for June, we got to have a minimum of 100 if that's how we're dividing it up. But we also need to see what's our deficit, or maybe what's our overage that happened in April and May, so that we can hit our targets for the entire quarter. We can establish realistic goals. If you only did 50 in May and 50 in June, that means that you got to do another 100. So if you only did 50 in April and 50 in May, you got to do another 100 in the month of June. So would you realistically be able to hit that target of 200 listings in the month of June? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on what you got going on. What are your competing priorities for the month of June? People go on vacation in the month of June. So maybe you're going to have to either hire someone to help you to make sure you hit your targets for your listings. Maybe you're going to have to use listing tools. Maybe you're going to have to create smarter listings where you can mix and match them and create variations. There's maybe some things that you have to do from a strategic standpoint to make your numbers for the entire quarter. So we need to look at what are the statistical goals that I need to consider for the month of June. And of course, we will be looking at or thinking about the next quarter, which is quarter 3, starting in July, only 30 days from now. So we don't want to forget what are the things that we need to also have in place to impact third quarter, to impact July. So what are your listing goals? What do you think? What are your sales goals? What are your deficits that you had in April and May that are going to impact your June numbers? Or what are your overages, which is always nice. What I try to do from a selling standpoint is I literally try to make sure that I push as much as possible into April and May on purpose, so that I have a little bit of a buffer or overage, because of the fact that a lot of people go on vacation starting in June. They go on vacation in June and they go on vacation in July. And so I don't want that to impact my goals for the year. Again, I divide my goals out so I know what my goals are. And I know what my goals are for the quarter. If I have a little bit of an overage, that means I have fewer listings maybe that I have to create, or I have fewer sales that I have to get, not because I want to get fewer sales, but because I know I'm going to be distracted with family vacation. And you can also create templates so that you can be strategic and have listing drafts ready so you can release them on your phone while you're on vacation. There are different things you can do if you want to sustain those numbers. But the point is, you need to think about what are the goals that you need to establish for the month of June. How many rework listings are you thinking you want to rework? How many hours do you think realistically you're really going to be able to work in your business in the month of June, especially if you're going on vacation? And maybe there is no impact. Maybe your vacation is not till August. So there's no impact. And so your overage is just a blessing. That means more money for you, maybe, depending on your margins. So I need you to look at your stats and think about what your new stats need to be for the new month. And I always want you to think in the back of your mind, I got to get ready for third quarter as well. Then the next is we're going to go through in your eCom planner. We're going to look at the lessons learned where we documented all this stuff, what our stats were for the month, what were our sales, what goals did we meet, what were our listings, what are the things that we need to source for in the month of June, and what are our sale list in the month of June, and what are the things that we need to consider sourcing for in the month of July. We're going to put all of this, take all this information that we have written in our lessons learned section and our looking forward section, so that we can begin highlighting what are our top priorities for the month of June, and what are things that we need to start considering and thinking about for the month of July and or the beginning of third quarter. Okay. What are the priorities that we need to kind of plan out for our weekly priorities for the month of June? Okay, today's June 1st. This is your opportunity to do that. And we're also going to begin the process of thinking about our budget for the month of June. If we didn't already build our budget, this is our chance to build the budget. So when you think about budget, it's not always 100% about ads. Ad spend matters, but it's also about, like, are you spending money on VAs? one of the strategies I've always implemented is in the month of June and July. That's when I hire summer help, because I can get them trained. They can get used to creating listings, doing shipments, or, sending shipments into Amazon or sending them into Walmart, so that way, when they, especially summer help for high schoolers, when they go back to school, August, they're in school, August, September, I can bring them on board for at least 6 to 8 weeks in October and November, and they can work in my business. It'll be a seamless transition because they were already previously trained. So that strategy of bringing them on board in the summertime, having them work with me intently in my business for about a good 6 to 8 weeks, and then bringing them back 6 to 8 weeks in October, that gives them Christmas money as well. That is one of the strategies I've always used. It makes life a little bit easier because you know that your business is going to ramp up in October. So this might be something that you put in your priorities for the month of June, that I need to hire some summer high school help, or I need to train my summer high school help. That's why creating your standard operating procedures in April and May matters, because now you're getting ready to use it in June if you're going to bring on staff. So that's one of the examples of what are your priorities for the month of June. Okay. Don't overlook your personal priorities as well, because you might be going on vacation. And so, especially if you're driving, all of that stuff that you got to do. Like, I got to pull the suitcases out of the attic, and I got to make sure that I got new tires and get an oil change, like all that stuff. You don't want to do it the week of. You need to put it on your planner and your calendar for advance, so that way it doesn't become an emergency situation. You're reacting to, oh my God, we're leaving tomorrow for the trip and I forgot to get the oil change. So again, things you don't want to forget. So now that we've kind of documented and dumped all of this stuff, we're going to now build our real June calendar. We have a lot of stuff to consider, so we're going to pull out that lessons learned and looking forward section in our eCom planner, that journaling area. And now we're going to go ahead and build it. So the first thing that we're going to build when we build out the month, you're going to open up your eCom planner, and you have the actual month of June. On the right-hand side, if you have the ecom planner, we've got our top goals for the month, our top income producing goals for the month. We have our top administrative operations and VA activities for the month, and we have our marketing and traffic goals for the month. So you have a place where you can write 5 of those. I want you to think about what those top goals are going to be. What are the things that you really need to get done in the month of June? And I need you to think about the entire quarter, because again, you need to know where your deficits are for the second quarter. What did I not get done that I really need to push hard in the month of June? So we're going to go back to those top goals that we started off at the beginning of this conversation. Top goals, like something simple, like the number of listings. If your goal is 300 listings for the month, you know that your goal for this month, if I've already done, let's say miraculously I've created 400. So listings is not an issue for me. But if I've only created 100 listings, that means for the month of June, my top goal is I've got to create 200 listings. And then strategically, I've got to figure out in the month, each week, here's where I get my weekly goals. So if I got to do 200, that means that each week I got to create 50 new listings. 4 weeks in the month of June, I got to create 50 new listings in order to meet that goal. Okay. So what is your top goal? What is your, maybe you have an ROI goal. Maybe your ROI, you want to make sure that you're getting no less than 33%. Maybe you have a sales goal. You can have a dollar sales goal and a quantity sales goal. So maybe your goal is to sell 1,000 products in the month of June, or maybe your sales goal is to hit a certain profit margin or certain number in sales, and then to also have a certain profit margin. So what are your goals for the month of June? Okay. Then we're going to talk about your income producing goals. Well, we know that listings are an income producing activity. You can't make money unless the listing exists somewhere in the universe. So people are not just going to send you money for absolutely nothing. And then you got to have something listed. So whether you have existing listings or not. So what are the income producing activities that you're going to engage in that are going to actually help impact those top goals? Again, going back to listings is the easiest one to think about, because of the fact that listings generate potential sales or get you potential traffic to whatever it is. If you have a store, maybe you have a Shopify store, or you're selling on any of the platforms, listings matter. So Listings will always impact my top goals and will also be one of my income producing. It will always be there because that's the one thing that I can definitely make money if I have listings created. So what are your income producing goals for the month of June? And then as you're thinking about those income producing goals and you have this entire planner open, you've got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Let's go through. Oh, sorry about that. Let's go through what are your income producing, what are your weekly goals for the month of June? So the first week in June, maybe the one thing that you want to make sure that you're doing outside of like your personal stuff, make sure you're writing your personal stuff on here. If you're going to be on vacation, the third week in June, write down anything that you need to get done for this in the second week of June. So the third week in June is not nuts. Or maybe the first week in June, you put it down and say, I need to do these activities, get the oil change. I need to pull out the suitcases. I need to whatever, get our passports, whatever you need to do, get it done in week 1 and week 2 so that week 3 of the vacation is not completely nuts. You don't want to be losing your mind at that point. If you're going to be going on vacation, this is what you could do strategically. You got to hit 200 listings in this entire month. So instead of 50 listings per week, maybe what you do is you're going to have to push yourself. And maybe you're doing 75 listings in week 1, 75 listings in week 2. And of those 75, maybe it's 25 drafts. So 50 of your regular listings, and then 25 of them are in draft form. And then week 2, 75 listings, but 50 of them are real and 25 of them are draft. Now you've got 50 listings in draft for week 3. If you got 50 listings in draft form in week 3, that means while you're on vacation every single day, you can release one of those drafts so that way you can continually give the platforms what they love, which is consistency. It helps the algorithms. You can give the platforms what they need so that you can continue to drive traffic to your listings. New listings every single day actually helps your performance on the platforms. So release those 50 listings while you're on vacation through your phone, through your mobile device. That doesn't mean you have to create them. They've already been created and they're in draft form. Then you can come back on that 4th week and you can create your 50 listings. So you still hit your target of 200 listings for the month. All right. So think strategically when it comes to this kind of stuff. And then in addition to that, again, your marketing or your traffic, maybe you're doing paid ads. So you need to make sure week 1, what am I doing for paid ads? Week 2, what am I doing for paid ads or whatever? Or if maybe you're just cross listing or you're sharing, week 1, what am I doing? How many listings do I want to make sure that I've run through Pingler or Ping Farm? I want to make sure I've sent at least 50 of the 50 new listings that I created and 50 old listings through Pingler and Ping Farm. So 100 per week. Maybe that's one of your goals. So you want to put that down as one of your top traffic marketing goals. Okay. These are activities that you are documenting so that you can have the opportunity to be massively successful in the month of June and also hit your second quarter targets. In addition to that, when I'm talking about what you need to be focused on for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, you should be thinking in advance. So in week 1, maybe you're creating your back to school listings, believe it or not. Or maybe in week 1, you're ordering your back to school inventory. In week 2, you're creating your back to school listings. In week 3, you're checking in your back to school, products, and you're creating your bundles as well, in addition to standalone products. And then week 4 is that you need to make sure all your back to school items are live. The listings are live. Again, I just made that up off the top of my head, but my point is, you need to have a strategy for when you're sourcing things. So what are the things that I really need to be sourcing in the month of June? And when do I need to be sourcing them in the month of June? And when do I need to make sure those listings are live in the month of June to have an impact on what's coming up in the future? Okay. So you should have priorities for week 1 when it comes to your business, priorities for week 2, week 3, week 4. If you have a Shopify store, if you have a WooCommerce store, or maybe you're selling on some of the other platforms, again, you need to look at strategically, like when do I maybe need to have my sales offerings? When do I need to offer discounts for this? When do I need to offer free shipping? When do I need to add these types of products to my store? Again, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Once you kind of have that in place, again, you're thinking in advance, because back to school typically in the US is going to start about the second to third week in July for some, well, about the third week in July for most. And so schools are going to be hitting up parents that first week in July, believe it or not. So it's sort of a trigger. And for others, back to school doesn't start until the end of August, beginning of September. But again, that's a big window of people buying back to school stuff, about 6 to 8 weeks window that you could be getting sales. So if you're not putting yourself in position to do that, to get the sales, you want to make sure that you're ready for it. And maybe you don't sell seasonal, trendy, popular holiday. Maybe you have a consistent product that is 100% static and it sells year round, and that's fantastic. Again, having your own spin on anything that might be coming up is another way to um, make sure that you are positioning yourself to get more sales, to increase your average order value in some kind of way. Maybe you bundle it together with something else. The other thing that I always like to think about is I think about the upcoming holidays, outside of the holidays, sorry, upcoming movies. There's a bunch of movies that are going to be popular this summer. And so those movies are going to have, I sell kids stuff. They're going to have characters and toys and action figures, and there's going to be a theme. That theme is going to hit hard in back to school. It's going to carry forward into Halloween, and it's going to be a thing in Christmas, and it's also going to be a big deal for Valentine's Day and potentially Easter. So some of the movies that are coming up, like Elemental, is cute. It's a Disney movie that's coming up about the elements. Well, elements are definitely something that they talk about in school all the time. So there's probably going to be a bunch of elements related stuff that you could be selling, especially, with STEM being a big deal. So it could trigger product ideas, product opportunities. You could go out and do some level of product research, and then also do some sourcing research. So again, putting that on your planner for priority for week number one of my top 5 priorities is to do product research on elements. Or maybe we just had Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm trying to remember all the stuff that's coming out this summer. There's a lot of stuff. Disney's Little Mermaid already came out, so I'm thinking about all the movies that come out, but for some reason they're not coming to my brain right. They're coming out of my mouth right now. But you get the idea. Go look and see what movies are coming out this summer, and there's going to be backpacks and lunch pails and tennis shoes and jackets with that theme that kids that are going to go see these movies are going to be interested in. And those are products that maybe, if you're approved to be able to sell them, that you could be selling. Again, if you're doing, and that works if you're doing arbitrage or reselling. If you're not doing that, like you got a wholesale product or, sorry, a private label product, then again, figure out your own spin on how you can tie it to something that is popular right now so you can increase your sales. So as you go through that, use this information when you put down what you're doing for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Use that to help you in your planning of the entire month of June, but also in your weekly planning sessions. So in the weekly planning sessions, we talk about what were our top goals for the month that's coming up, which is June, and how do we break that down and make sure that we're sprinkling in a little bit of work in your first week in June, your second week in June, third week in June, and fourth week of June, into making sure that those activities happen. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you use this to help you build a really good plan, a strong plan for the month of June. And I hope that you're thinking about in the back of your mind how I can finish strong for second quarter, and what do I need to be thinking about for third quarter so you can have a successful year. Your goal is to always get more sales, to scale your business, to be more productive, to be more consistent, and to stabilize your income, and to also grow or scale your income based on the decisions you make today, because every single decision you make every day definitely does have a bottom line, does have an impact on the bottom line of your business. So I think that if you're intentional, I'm always saying this, if you be intentional, your goal is 100% to be intentional about how you spend your time, money, and resources, and where you invest your energy when it comes to your e-commerce business. Make intentional decisions about what you're going to do for the month of June. Make intentional decisions about how you're going to finish second quarter, and make intentional decisions on what you're going to do for third quarter. So with that, I hope this information is helpful. My name is Nicole Whitlock. My passion is helping people on their e-commerce journey, helping them to get organized, get focused, get consistent in their business. And if that's you, I'm here for you. You can definitely schedule a 20-minute coaching session by going to ecomsellers.com and clicking on free resources to schedule your free 20-minute coaching session. If you need some support along the journey, you can definitely join eCom Sellers Academy. It's terribly affordable, and you get a lot of free perks every single week. And last but not least, if you don't have the eCom planner, I encourage you to get it. You can actually get the PDF version right now, I believe, for $4.95. So $4.95. So grab the eCom planner to help you on your e-commerce journey. And with that, we are going to say goodbye for now. I hope you have an amazingly blessed, extremely focused, and highly profitable day. If you want to continue the conversation, you can definitely join me over on Clubhouse and join the eCom Sellers House. Bye for now. Bye, y'all.